What is up, YouTube? Sean the Average Angler here, and we've got a special one today. Well, they're all kind of special, but this is something new to me for the most part. Oh, check out my Red Bull Max Verstappen new hat. My wife bought this for me when she was in Vegas, and the race was there last year. First time I put it on. This is a technique that I ran across while at the One Bass Clear Lake Open. There was staging fish and bedding fish. And this technique is it's overlooked still, okay? But very effective. It does kind of require some special gear, but not really. You can do it with typical stuff. Yeah, so we're going to go over that. I'm going to share that with you today. We bed fished with this, and we just blind fished with this, okay? It was very effective in both aspects. I was really surprised how effective it was in bedfish mode, okay? And I got a few baits here. I've got a couple different rigs, couple different rods to show you things you can do. And you can do this with a spinning rod. We didn't, but it can be done, okay? The thing is, if you're bed fishing, you're fishing for bigger fish. And even when we're blind casting, we're fishing for bigger fish. We're looking for the females to react. And I don't know why, I just feel more comfortable with, but I like that hat, it's cool. I might have to break it in someday, I may not, I don't know. I did get some hashtag FBD hats. Ordered them, seems like a month ago. Still haven't seen them. They're coming. Old James Watson's got a lot of supporters out there, and I'm pretty excited to put it on and fish it, you know what I mean? All right, so first of all, a good all-around rod for this to me is going to be this. This is a 7-foot Daiwa Tatula Elite. It's called a medium, okay? Right now on here, you can see I've got the Yama Tanuki, and it's rigged with a hover rig. And honestly, that would probably be a good bait for beds and open fishing also. For those of you that don't know what a hover rig is, comment below if you don't know, and I can do a video on it. But there's the head. Let me get some line out here. There's the head. It's kind of like a dart head, but the weight spread out throughout the hook. And it kind of makes it hover, if you will, or fall flat. This rod has 10-pound test, is a bait caster. So the reason I like the bait caster for this technique is control. By the way, cheers. It's all about control, okay? Pitching the bait, generally you are in closer quarters. If you're bed fishing or target fishing, this is for target fishing also. Holes, you can blind cast it. It's really a good all-around rig. And look, it's nothing new per se, but it is. That maybe a lot of us have slept on, much like me. I did, okay? I slept on it. There's all kinds of crazy baits out there for this. And that rig is called the free rig, okay? And actually, I'm going to tie one up so that I can show you, in case you don't know. I'm sure most of you do, but maybe somebody doesn't. So I brought a weight and I got some hooks in here, and we will rig one up. So we're gonna cut this off. Yes, I'm using wire strippers. Don't ask why that was sitting here on my kitchen table, but it was. Okay, I'm an engineer / mechanic by trade, so it is what it is. My wife's used to it by now. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do, this is a VMC Finesse Neko hook, okay? You can see it's got a keeper on it here. And this is gonna be bait dependent, folks. Sometimes you may need a 1 to 3/0 EWG. This is the Finesse Neko in a 2/0. And I believe it'll fit pretty good for my crawbait. So, very simply, you need a free rig hook, which is like this, okay? See, it's got the eye up there. I dropped my reading glasses in the lake, so these are not my. Okay, so put the weight on there and then you'll see it slides, okay? It's got an open hole. Unlike a drop shot hook that clips on, this has an open hole. Then grab your hook. Tie a simple Palomar knot or your knot of choice. I like the Palomar. And we can do knots if somebody's unaware, but I think most of you probably know how to tie your knots. I use a Palomar a lot. I'll use the trilene knot on some things. Always wet your knot. Pull it tight, okay? And then you're gonna select your, what are those wire cutters? Yes, wire cutters. Those work better than some frickin' scissors, you know? It's pretty amazing. All right. So for that hook, that's the 2/0 Neko hook. I'm thinking, I didn't test this beforehand, so I might stumble and fall on this one big time. And I did, but I'll show you the bait anyway. Let's go with a baby brush hog. Okay, the cool thing about this rig is it really just, if you have the right hook on there, you can use an assortment of baits, and I'm gonna show you those all in a minute. And then you just, typical old, Texas rig it. This is a really crazy color too. It's interesting because when I saw it, I thought that's gonna get bit. And then I don't think I've ever been bit on it, which I don't really understand it. It's a watermelon violet. Yep, watermelon violet. It's a baby brush hog. And this is the rig you end up with. Sliding weight, the weight's tied at the bottom, much like a Carolina rig, right? Except the weight will slide all the way down to the bait. Now, as you'll see, that weight's not very big. This happens to be a Damiki. I think it's tungsten. The link will be in the description. I'll put a selection of baits down there. I'll put the pound test. I'll even put some rods, some reels, that kind of stuff if you're interested. But pretty simple, right? Makes for good casting. All the weights at the end. So good casting, good pitching. But what happens when this hits the water is there's drag from the bait and the weight will separate and fall at the bottom. And then if you lift your rod tip, it will push the bait down. Or if you just leave some slack there, it will slowly drift down. And that depends on the bait you have on there too, right? If you got a Senko, it's gonna fall a little faster, or something salty, flapping hog. If you have something with kicking appendages, that will slow it down, separate it more. Something like a Spark Shad or a Kitech. Now, let me tell you, these things and Kitex are deadly on bedfish. The brush hog, you're gonna have the flapping tails as it's falling down, right? Gonna slow it down some, probably not as much as a swim bait. Another bait you can use, this here happens to be a, what do they call that? A baby beaver? Smallie beaver. Smallie beaver 3.5, right? Sightfish color. You don't have to use a sightfish color. These are just the bags I grabbed off the wall. Plus it makes it easier to show you on the video. I don't have to put my hand up there. This one is a little tiny crabbait. Okay, and I don't know if we put that up to my finger. It's, you'll see there's only that much of it is for the hook. So you probably need something like a 1/0 or a 1 on that. This is a Japanese bait called Nuiki Bite Guts, made in Japan, okay? And again, I'm gonna link plenty of baits in there. There's lots of different baits to do this with. Really cool technique though. You can bed fish with it. You can blind cast to it, okay? In our situation, we had a brush line that the fish were using at 8 to 10 feet. And they were traveling and hiding on the brush line. Everybody was throwing Senkos, drop shots, swim baits, and glide baits. So that bait did very, very well. And there was others flipping or punching. This is a secondary rod. This is a 703 7-foot medium Powell, okay? It's just an alternate rod. You don't want something too heavy with this. You want to be fishing 8 to 12 pound test, okay? It is a finesse style technique. I honestly don't see why you couldn't beef it up. Haven't tried that yet, but I may get out this weekend and I may just try it, because the whole idea of the bait separating, then kind of having, so it gets pulled down and then maybe the last foot, depending on how much appendage you put on, it's going to separate it, can just slowly swim down. So it's coming down fast and then it slows way down and meanders to the bottom. Great technique. There's a ton of Japanese baits out there. This again is where that originated. And it's very impressive, okay? There was a co-angler that weighed 33 pounds for his pro off the back of the boat in a very, very busy area on the lake where guys weren't catching fish, and he caught 33 pounds doing this technique, okay? So it's a good technique. It's something I'm gonna spend more time with, venturing around, messing with. Even though I do this video, number one, my channel's not very big. Number two, most people, when they get into trying new techniques, don't stick with it, right? Here's an even smaller weight. I'll list a bunch of weights on there too. Same deal. This one was actually sold as a drop shot weight, but it's a tie-on drop shot weight. So that makes it a free break weight. I think the key here, folks, is really to pair your line size with your presentation and the hook. One hook's not going to transfer to another, okay? You could use a 3.3, a 3.8 Kitex. You could use the, I believe this is a 3 1/4 inch Spark Shad, all right? You just need to have the proper hook paired with it, just like anything else. The brush hog to me is it's not a popular per se free rig bait, but there's no reason it won't work. It's just, this is Japanese technique. They like to use Japanese style baits. There's a whole bunch of them out there, and I'm going to list them in the description down below. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe. We'll bring you something new every week. Have a good one.